Warning. It is the opinion of the 4th Street Productions LLC and the Working Perspectives podcast that we should inform you that some of the language used in this recording could possibly be considered offensive. You have been warned, so if you decide to listen to the recording, then don't complain about the language. All right, on the show today, we are blessed to have the one and the only Dee Siren. Dee Siren has been nominated for the hottest MILF at the AVN Awards, and that's a fan-voted award, right, for the last 3 years. She's been in the adult film industry since 2010. She's survived a severe accident, and we're here a little bit about that comeback story. Really excited for that. And she was a teacher, left that to pursue a passion, and really excited to get into it. So Dee, thank you so much for being on the show. Super excited to have you here. Before we get started, I did want to ask one question. What movie do you think is better, The Godfather Part 1 or The Godfather Part 2?
You're not, honestly, it's been so long since I watched that. I couldn't tell you which one is which, nor
honestly, I knew
that's a really true
Yeah.
answer. I fucking have no idea.
Honestly, it's that we get that a lot with that question. We might have to change it. But here's another question though.
Okay.
When eating Cheetos, what do you prefer, crunchy or puff?
Puffs. And I love to eat all of the like outside part, the cheesy part first, so that the inside looks like, I don't know, weird like exoskeleton or something.
Well, I mean,
you just suck on it and it goes away.
Never heard that before. That's amazing.
Yeah, no,
I used to think that like in elementary school, like the inside of this looks like a weird like structure. But yeah, I'm a little over the top. So
no, well, you're probably right, because it looks like DNA attached to each other, right? Like kind of like that. Yeah. That makes sense.
It has like bubbles all in it. So I love looking at it, and I love you can just suck it and then it goes away. So yeah.
It's funny, Jana does the same thing, but she does that with cheese balls, and then she lets them melt. That's what she says, at least.
Yeah, you eat all the cheese off of it. So it always lasted me. I don't know, maybe I just didn't have any other food, and like it lasted me all of lunch period, just a bag of cheese puffs.
Man, you must have had in middle school, it's like all the boys are just watching you eat these cheese puffs the whole day. They're just taking.
I was a weirdo. Nobody knew me. Like, okay, everybody knew me. I knew no one. Like, I don't know. Life's not much different anyway. Now, but like, it was. I don't know. Like, not really. I was just kind of a nerd.
You say that, but there was definitely probably some guys that secret crush on you, too scared to say, that old chestnut.
Yeah. I think they always, I don't know, I went back to high school reunions and they always said, you were too mature for us. And I think that was because I was a club kid and I don't know, I went out and had a lot of one-night stands. So I don't know, I did not date any of them, like not one of them in high school. Nobody.
Smart. Who wants that drama?
I like that disassociation and separateness with my sexual life.
Hey, yeah, no, that's the way to go. I
still do that.
Yeah. So this is the next question. This is going to split the room. All right. Now this, I mean, it's a tough one. When eating chicken wing, what do you prefer, the drums or the flats?
Again, I don't eat those.
Oh,
like I eat chicken, but not wings.
Oh,
I guess they would be more like nuggets because I don't like anything with a bone in it. It kind of grosses me out.
Oh.
And I only eat chicken or fish, so I don't eat mammal.
Oh, all right. Well, that's probably a better answer than what I would have said anyway. All right. And then last one, waffles or pancakes?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I love my carbs.
Oh, same.
I guess I would have to say waffles. Still again that little structure I can like.
You're a food engineer.
Yeah.
I'm super picky about my food. And can't touch each other, and it's got to be in separate little areas on a plate.
Yeah.
So,
my brother's like that. My mom for Christmas one year bought him a ceramic lunch tray so he could you know what I mean? So he had like a different spot for each of his foods, because if they touch, it's done. It's ruined for him.
The trays at like a cafeteria at Louis, whatever.
Yeah.
Little pockets. Those are like my favorites. So I loved when I had small children and I could just buy like the kids separate like places.
Yes.
And that's like perfect.
Oh man. Yeah. No, it's +2, right? Half your meals when you do have small kids is like standing at the counter eating their leftovers, right? So it's like perfect. It's already sectioned out. Then they had some left. It was great. Yeah, nice. So, okay. So let's get into it a little bit. So, from what we researched on when we were listening to Dee Siren's Sexy Secrets, the podcast available now, we'll have a link in the description. We heard that you grew up in Texas, right? And that you came, like, your family was kind of a little conservative, a conservative background. I was the same, went to Catholic school, everything like that. Bethany, you were in the same boat. But so when you were coming up, you were in the band and things like that. And then at high school, started the party, like, and explore your personality and things like that. How was that coming up for you? Like, when you were conservative? Because I know for me, it was tough. Like, I mean, because it's just like the guilt that kills you, you know? And it's just eventually you get over it. And it's like, this is all kind of the guilt's horse shit. You know what I mean? And then, but moving on, but what was it like for you as, like, you know, the teenage years, discovering your body and things like that?
Okay, so I came from an interesting family. They are conservative, but only because of their hypocritical bullshit. Like, they're not religious. They're atheists. My mother is a self-identified WASP. So a WASP is a
white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
And I'm like, you know, it just makes me think of like Monty Python and you know, The Meaning of Life, where you have the Protestants and the Catholics. And the Protestants are like, oh my God, like, don't talk to us, sitting and having tea quietly, like in their house, where the Catholics have like a billion children and are having sex in the other room, and like it's all about every sperm being sacred. So like I came from the WASP family. They didn't touch you, they didn't hug you, you may get a pat on the back, but there's no physical intimacy. And there's also not a lot of discussion or talking. Like, children are just to be seen but not heard. And they're extremely interesting because they're very out of the box, neurodivergent type of people, because they're really intelligent. But they tried their damnedest to be in the box, to fit in with society, and that is generationally. Like, they, you know, money of course is important, but my family were educators, lots of teachers, principals, and just deep thinkers who really didn't know, like, where do I fit. I have a lot of uncles that went into acting and theater, but were not really successful because they wanted to have a it was hard to like accept that, okay, this is my purpose, this is my gift, and actually make a living with their gift. Like, it was hard for them to do that. So instead they just took jobs where they knew there was some kind of security. As for me, I've always been super out of the box. It's just me and my brother. And I come from a mother who had a lot of childhood trauma. Again, generationally, there was trauma passed down, which a lot of us have. But hers caused her to be very introverted and full of anxiety. And, you know, I was a latchkey child. That was like the term they used back in the, you know, 80s. And so, you know, I wore a key around my neck on like a dog tag chain, because my mom was like, you can't lose your key. You lose your key, you can't get home. She was a teacher, so she works late, and she wasn't there when I got home, regardless of my age. We started staying by ourselves when we were in, like, I think I was in first grade. My brother was in third grade, and she was like, well, your brother just decided he could stay home. Like, he wanted to just stay home, so I just let y'all. And I'm like, yeah, but I was like 5 and he was like 7. And it was like, you're good. Like, after work. And, you know, I mean, so like I got lost, and there were things that happened, you know, but and back then there's no way to contact anybody. I actually got lost from like getting off on the wrong bus stop in third grade, and ended up walking around for like 3 hours, and going to like a helping hand person. That was also a thing. And they put like, these stickers on their windows to show I'm a like a safe person. Of course, I don't know what the criteria of that was. So
Yeah.
I mean, luckily it turned out to be like a mom of a friend.
Yeah.
And they saved me, but like my parents weren't even home from work. So it was
Oh
like
my gosh.
for 3 hours. So yeah, I mean, it was like, don't talk much, don't communicate much, not much of anything. She was an artist and very self-involved. I hung out at skating rinks watching her do aerobic, and that was through junior high. So I was super like I wasn't allowed to have friends come over, nothing like that. And so it wasn't like any sociability. I imagined a lot. I had a lot of stuffed animals, and I taught them school because she would bring me papers. So like I can say I was a pretty lonely kid.
Yeah.
And then that, really kind of like moved on through high school. I was in bands, but I was the worst clarinet player on earth. I hated bands. I hated piano lessons, but my mom said they were a discipline. And my brother was the band, like, what is it called? He
like
was
the trumpeter, like
yeah,
the lead.
yeah.
Oh, he had like the bayonet and all that stuff.
He was the one in charge. Like,
wow.
He was really good at playing the trombone, and he was older, and so I had to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
If it was his calling, then it was mine. Because truly my calling, as my mother said, is I would have never let him not have a friend. So like my purpose to her is that I was his friend. But I quit being his friend at 10 because he and I just never had anything in common.
Yeah.
And so we're not friends now. Ever since I got into the adult industry, like the majority of my family has ostracized me or disowned me because I chose my own path. And my mindset is just completely different than theirs. I have never been, like I said, conservative. Like I just didn't fit me. I was kind of just the crazy hippie chick, and I just wanted to hang with people that believed in love, and that was not what I got at home. So
also like I've been around the WASP crowd is also they're boring as shit. You know what I mean? Like who wants to be doing that? And they're miserable, but like their morality, their so-called morality is put them in like a level of misery that they're just like they have to be miserable to be moral, which isn't the case. And I'll say this, and I think everyone, like you guys would agree, it takes a lot of courage to leave like something that's a foundational thing, to follow your dream and bet on yourself and follow your passion and do what you're good with. And it does take a tremendous amount of courage. So you should be very proud of doing that. And if they don't recognize it, they can go shove it. You know what I mean?
Well, and honestly, I broke a lot of generational curses. The family has almost dissipated from each other because they're super toxic. And I think by me stepping out, it was a symbol to a lot of them. They all couldn't talk to me because you can't stay within the family and actually like support me. But my parents always supported me because I had children. Like I was a elementary school teacher. It's not like I went from nothing to I'm going to be a porn star. Like that's not my story. My story, I have a degree in sociology, a degree in psychology, a certification in public education. I'm very, very educated, very intellectual. I read a lot. That's what I was saying about the movie. Like I watch movies, but I don't know, half the time I'm not paying attention. And, really, I'm just more about learning new things and adding new skills to my life. And I was always a teacher. I'll just bring up now, but I'm about to complete a spiritual and soul purpose life coaching program through the Dharma Institute. So I'll be a certified spiritual and soul purpose teacher because I just believe in innate gifts. I have 3 super gifted children. They are all out of the box. They are super smart. They can fit into the system and do what they're supposed to do and make the grades. My oldest is graduated from UT. My middle, it goes to UT. I still live in Texas, by the way. And my youngest is now homeschooled, and I don't know, he'll probably go to UT too. But I mean, they're all different. They all have different ideals, and I've allowed them to just be human and follow what your intuition tells you to follow what your heart tells you to follow. You know, I believe in the spirits. I'm not religious, but I am spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in the universe, and I believe in energy, and I'm very scientific. So the connection between science and spirituality is there.
Yeah.
And that all of us are born with something, you know, to make us who we are, and we're all gifted in some form or fashion. So it was just a matter of me saying, you know what, this is how I'm a gifted person. I believe in my energy body. I'm connected to, you know, I'm super connected. And, you know, more than anything throughout my life experiences, it's taught me to open doors and not be afraid.
Yeah.
Fear stops you. And my mother's number one problem in life, she's an amazing artist. Half of the paintings and stuff behind me are either my mom's or my daughter's. They're both amazing artists. And, you know, but fear caused them, and an idea that you have a path that you have to follow to be considered a success.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the Joneses was always an issue. Like, have the house in the nicest neighborhood. We want you to keep up with everybody so that you fit into the societal structure. But I never fit because it was a lot for me to make a friend. It was a lot for me to talk to those people. I have severe social anxiety, and I do consider myself on the spectrum. I'm neurodivergent, but the spectrum's huge. And if you don't really understand it, then you realize that there's two different spectrums. I'm just not a typical person, and I never was. So
that's good though, because typical is fucking boring. Yeah, no, that's incredible. Bethany, you have kind of a similar situation, right? When you say, Bethany?
Yeah, it's actually kind of wild how many similarities I can have to your story, Dee. I grew up in a conservative, waspy kind of family, a lot of expectations. I'm the youngest of two girls, and my sister followed very specific, these are the rules, and I never fit into those. And I think, you know, to the point of what we're talking about on this podcast, one of those was exploring sexuality, but also just not fitting the norm. My dad was neurodivergent. He was never diagnosed, but I believe that he had autism, maybe in the Asperger's part of the spectrum. And my 8-year-old son actually is diagnosed on the spectrum. So, and I feel some of that, in me, and also in a way that it almost helps you lean into your purpose. There's something about being neurodivergent that just lets you focus more on, this is what resonates with me. This is how I'm supposed to operate in the environment I'm in and in the universe overall. And I think that, like, that's something that I really appreciate seeing in my son, and that I am appreciating hearing about how you're talking about your kids. Like, give them the space to navigate what's around them without passing judgment. And that kind of leads into one of the questions I had for you, which is, you were talking about breaking generational curses. Can you talk about how kind of learning this and like allowing yourself to branch out and not just abide what was taught to you as a child, how has that affected you, and how you've raised kids in breaking this cycle?
So I think that the culture that I was raised in is super patriarchal, is super misogynistic, is super toxic, to be honest. And but you don't discuss those things. This is just how life is, and live with it. Like, and women have their place. And you know, the more, sorry, but like imperialistic, like my family was, like, they're super into the royal family. Like, the queen dying is like heartache, because like my family is from England, is from Wales, is from Scotland, is from all these surrounding areas right there. They didn't divert from that area. I am straight up British and Scottish and Irish. Like, that's it. So really waspy. So like literally it's one of those things that I'm also from the South. Like, it was kind of ingrained in me. I've been told a million times, you're the daughter of the Confederacy. Like, oh great, what the fuck does that mean? like, hey mom, like how should I feel about this? No, I became a big fan of like Gone with the Wind. Like honestly,
love that movie.
I watched that movie a million times, and I actually named my daughter Scarlett. So
oh, that's
like,
great.
These are things like I even have dolls. My kids are like, they're so fucking creepy, but it's of Rhett and Scarlett. And they're so creepy. They're like right there in my room. But yeah, I mean, but now I kind of like, as I've grown in my life and I've accepted more cultures and more mindsets and really who I am as a person, I realized that maybe I'm just not really all that into that either. Like what I found is I found my own inner child and I've gone back to her and I've worked with her and I've accepted her and I've forgiven her and I've done everything that I'm supposed to do to also allow her to just be her without the influence of others, because our society is all about influence. Like we're all bombarded with influence. I'm an influencer, like I want to influence you too. I mean, everything I do is about let me put my judgment and my thought process, everything else within you. And advertising is that way, just society is that way. And we're a capitalist society, period. Like I don't know about democracy, but like we are capitalist, period. Like corporations own us. But anyway, it's one of those things where I had to look outside my ego and also truly understand the breakdown of child development and human development in general and conscious development, and understanding that this body here only develops so far, but this brain is plastic and it can keep developing and keep evolving, and that's the only part of us that does. So I've understood how like these things are connected with each other, and if you allow yourself to evolve and change and grow, then you reach a different level. And I think my sexuality is where my power lies, and I believe that for women. I believe that we are fucking sexual creatures because within your sacral chakra, if you understand the chakra system, that is your pelvis. We are the creators of fucking life, not you. You can't create shit. You can create shit with your hands, but you're certainly not going to create another fucking being. True. Like truly bring spirit into a fucking carbon-based body. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be the vessel for that. So you know what? Fucking A, like I'm a vessel. I have no problem saying that because I'm able to create new life. Yeah, I'm able to do that. And that's why there's a patriarchy holding women down, because they know that if we accept ourselves on a sexual level, if we accept ourselves as the powerful creators that we are, then sorry, but we'll probably be in charge. And it would be a much better place, sorry to say, because it's one of those things where it's a natural progression. But really, I just believe that we all need to realize who we are as these creatures outside of this influence carbon-based being. Like, do you believe that like this amazing energy that makes up your brain and works this system, this computer that you are, just appears in the carbon-based body? Or do you believe that you're an internal, this amazing like energy that goes here, I'm going to go here? Well, what makes my light go? The energy goes to that instead. So what do you think we are? We're just energy beings. And once I understood that I'm much more than this, that you want to just objectify or just, I don't know, my fan just jerk off to me, whatever. I mean, once the visual of this is, there's so much more to it, and everybody has it. It's just understanding that, you're more than that. And I don't know, like I've realized that by being raised in an atheist family, I'm not a meat suit. Like they literally, that's their concepts, but they lived with a Christian moralistic view of life. So it's very contradictory. It's very hypocritical. There's not much authenticity at all. Nobody's real. No. What you see on the outside matters, what you are on the inside doesn't. And that not only happens within individual people, but the entire family structure is, let me present myself as something that I'm not.
Mhm.
And I mean, like I brought up the royal family, like, what do you think they do?
Yeah.
Look at their trueness. Like, they present themselves as this like fairy tale,
Yeah.
but life isn't a fucking fairy tale at all.
No.
So it's the realization that I don't want to be fake. I want to accept what's here, because I appreciate this thing. I appreciate this system that I have, and this structure and this body that is continuing to me to allow to myself to go on this life journey.
Mhm.
And continuing to explore and learn, because I think that's more important. I think that our
Couldn't agree more.
consciousness wants to learn. It wants to, I believe in communication between people, because it's certainly extremely important. I kind of go with these 3 C's: communication, but not just talking, but listening and comprehending and understanding what the other
Yes.
person is saying. Because once you have those 2 things, then you have a connection. And
Yeah.
the connection is intimacy. The connection is, everything is intimacy, just like everything is energy.
Mhm.
You're intimately connected to so many different people in this world, so many different experiences, animals, plants, everything. When you open your mind up to the idea that, oh, maybe if I go and listen and learn from these people, then I'll be even more connected, because we're all just one, I don't know, body of energy that are stuck in these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's great. One of the main things you're preaching is have the confidence and courage to be yourself regardless, so that at the end of the day, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You know what I mean? And you want to see your true self. And I couldn't agree more. I have a daughter. She's only 2, right? But I've talked to my wife about it, and it's like I want to instill in her, like, explore your creativity, right? Be confident in yourself and what you want to say. Also, like, people forget, imagination's $1 billion industry. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah.
like, if you want to do any kind of thing like that, but like, don't sit around and do nothing and waste your life. That's the other thing. But it's really, I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, especially when it comes to women. Because I'll tell you this, my wife's the boss, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because it's makes life pretty easy, But no, I'm with you. That's fantastic. Also, Gone with the Wind, fabulous movie, absolutely fabulous.
movie.
Oh, incredible! One of the best. People forget. I think it won like 12 Academy Awards when it came out. Like,
it's amazing. It's amazing movie.
yeah.
Like, it was in Technicolor, and that it's originally like black and white. So
Yeah.
and then you go and you realize, damn, this is like 3.5-hour movie, because it even had an intermission in it.
Yes.
So fucking long. They were like, okay, it's intermission time, because it was all at the theater.
Yeah, that's great though. So I did want to ask you this, as an educator. I saw this on a show yesterday where they were talking about, like, the topic was like advanced placement classes, or like, I think there's another term with it, but we called it advanced placement, right? Where the kids that were like, ahead. So it was for kids that maybe were advanced in mathematics, or maybe reading, or things like that. But the topic was that there's like a professor that studied to say, like, there's different types of advanced placement or advanced learning, right? Like, this person might be advanced at mathematics, but then this person might be advanced at agriculture, and this person might be advanced at art, and this, you know what I mean? So it shouldn't be like, I'm with you, where it's like, find what you're advanced at and what you're passionate about, and then, have the courage to see that through. And that's fantastic. But right now, I do want to move it to this. It's time for our favorite segment. It's J-Dub's questions, asking about questions. J-Dub's questions, a new favorite segment. It's Jalen Dub's question time. D, Justin is going to have some questions for you, and hopefully you, if you want to answer, feel free. I mean, either way,
I always have something to say.
Yeah, love it. Nice. Justin, go ahead, take it away.
Would you want free gasoline for life, or no bugs in your house ever again?
Oh, the free gasoline. Like, I don't mind bugs. I was a science teacher, and like, I had Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and they like hang from goo. They were disgusting. Like, I love spiders. Like, they're awesome, and they have a purpose, and they eat the other bugs.
Yeah.
I don't really like flying insects, like, because of the noise, but I also realize that's my problem. But without insects in this world, we'd be dead.
That
That's
is that is true. I will say this. I mean, I don't know. You're in Texas, and I'm in Philadelphia, and so is Bethany and Justin. And I've lived in some houses in Philadelphia where the roaches like should have been paying rent. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, we got like those big old monster, like huge
the-
cockroaches, like the tree ones. I had a porch one time that like the platform of the porch kind of like was lifted in the back, and it was a screened in porch, and all of a sudden we were just sitting out there, my husband and I, and like I would say 80 cockroaches just like went off into that porch. I don't even know why. I was like, are they like, it's a mutiny? Like, why all of a sudden they like
Bum rush.
attack?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was like the worst.
Okay.
And like we've had hurricanes where we had no electricity for over a week. So we've had to leave the windows open, and we had a house with no screens. And I've had like roaches on my face and like on me just because they fly around everywhere. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I live in Houston, so it's a fucking swamp. Like I'm just used to bugs.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that. I
was
mean,
gonna say
yeah.
also for us, we get a pretty significant cold snap in the winter.
Mhm.
Does that mean bugs are a 24/7, 365 thing in Texas?
Oh,
Oh man.
think
Oh,
about
because
that.
that's why I said I don't
Um,
mind them. Like I mean, to be
That
honest, like
sucks.
like as a kid, my family's from Arkansas too, and like we had a camp on the Arkansas River, and it was really just a really old general store from like the 1800s, and we would put cots up in it. I was a Girl Scout till I was in eighth grade, so like I slept in tents, and trust me, I honestly don't like camping anymore. Like I hate camping because I don't care for the bugs crawling on me, but like them being around me.
Mm,
And I know that again, they have a purpose. The problem with our
Mhm.
soil is that we're killing all the bugs because we want to keep producing too much food for this
Mm.
world. So yeah, like we can't kill the bugs. We need them.
no, agreed. I remember there was I think it was in China. I don't know which dictator, but he put out a law that he wanted to kill all the sparrows, I think, right?
Mhm.
And I'm forget, but China, I forget where it was, but he wanted to kill like a bird, a specific type of bird, and they were like thousands and thousands of birds. They were just you'd get like $50 a bird, so people were just like wheelbarrows full of
Mhm.
these birds. And then what happened is that they weren't there to eat the worms in the soil,
And the
worm
locusts,
and the
too.
locusts, yep, and they ate up all the soil, and then you know what I mean. So
Fucked
you're
themselves up. They fucked up their ecosystem.
big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
Mhm.
humans are a virus. Like we are idiots. Like we don't realize that like we're connected to everything. Duh. Like you are soil, dust to dust. Like you go back to being fucking soil. You're carbon. So are they. Like
Yeah.
they have systems of communication too. Just because you think you're better, like again, like let go of the ego.
Yeah. You're right. Justin, next question, please.
You could have a celebrity pallbearer. Who would you choose?
Oh God, that's so hard.
Yeah.
Celebrity pallbearer. Like what the fuck would I care? I'm not
That's fair.
there. I'm not
The-
even there.
well,
Like,
Just to make your family confused.
Well, like we had someone that said Tom Hanks, but what they wanted, and Bethany, I think, or no, it was someone said
Well, I
Tom.
asked you dead or alive, and if it could be, which dead doesn't really make sense, but I said Andre the Giant, because then he could just kind of like, like a speaker box kind of
Yeah, but
situation.
they would come to the funeral, do the pallbearer and just leave and not say anything to anyone. So your family would be like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? So in that scenario, someone said The Rock.
honestly, that is a really hard question. I truly want to be a tree when I die. I don't even want to be in a box.
You
So,
seen
like,
those? You get like put in like a sack and then a tree grows from
I
it.
want them
Love
to
that.
put my body in a fetal position and put me into that pod and plant me.
Oh wow, I didn't
Not
even know that
just
was a thing.
Disintegrate. Now that one is like over in Europe somewhere and not yet like approved, but right now you can be cremated and then your ashes be planted with a seed and your family can plant you. So you can do it with a dog, you can do it with you can do it with anything. And
Oh,
there are
wow.
actually, like, I think in Austin, Texas, they have a cemetery that are just trees. Like you just are planted as a tree.
Wow.
That's
cool.
phenomenal. I
I
would love to
love
see
that.
like the study on like the growth of the tree, if it like accelerates it,
There's
if
a
it
lot,
makes
like, honestly, the company that, because I've already checked into it, it's even cheap. Like, it's compared to like a burial, it's fucking cheap. Like, I don't need your land, you know.
Mhm.
I just want to be a tree. So like it, they can, what, I'm sorry, what did you just ask? You said something and then
the
I clock off.
no, it's all right. Yeah, no, the way the tree, like you could,
Oh, do they grow?
yeah,
Like
like
you can pick
are
all
they
kinds of different ones. And yeah, like they have them where people have planted them like on their property. And that's
Mm.
like like the
wow,
law, like
yeah,
grandma's back there.
and
And
it's generational now, and
so you
that's a
can
great
go
idea.
visit your tree and like, I
Yeah,
mean, and it's not illegal like now, because it normally, if you have property, it's hard like to get a license to be able to like have a graveyard on your property.
yeah,
But like those aren't at all. Like,
yeah. What are they gonna say?
Yeah,
You're like, oh
that's a
yeah,
good way around
and then you're like, oh, you don't like trees? Huh? What's your problem? You know, then
and I
they're in big
even
trouble.
saw a person who had moved away from their home, but the tree was there, and like the other people that moved there were like, yeah, we'll make sure to take care of it. And like, you know, it just kind of passes on the community idea that like that's actually, you know, a person. Like, I mean, it's, you know, of course it's not really, but you know, it's at least a memorial to that person. But they are actually like soil, so
Yeah.
I guess it is that person.
Yeah, no,
Love
you're
it.
100% right. Yeah. Okay, Justin, next question, please.
Would you rather a lake house or a beach house?
I love water. I'm a Cancer, so I'm all about water. That's hard too. It depends on, like, I would have to say beach because I'm obsessed with the beach. But I do like me some lake too. It has a lot more mosquitoes though.
Oh, true. Yeah, when it's like that stagnant water, that's not fun. How hot does it get in Houston?
This summer it got up to like 115.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting
Yeah.
worse and worse all the time. Like right now, today it'll be 90, and it's already almost what, October.
Yeah, it's almost October. Yeah. Same thing up here. We've noticed it up here too. Like the snow's like, I mean, it'd be crazy. It's like one big snowstorm, but I remember when I was a kid, we'd get like 3 feet up here, like
Maybe
on
there's
the
snow on the ground
ray.
for a month.
Yeah, and it would start in November and it wouldn't stop until like April. But now it's like, I mean, there were some days last winter where it was like in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
You
it
know
was
what I
like
mean?
nice on Christmas the one year. I was like, this isn't right.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
It's always hot here on Christmas, always hot here on Thanksgiving. I mean, we don't have seasons. We have summer and we have winter, but we don't have fall or spring. It goes, I mean, literally, like spring would be like a week and fall would be like a week. But like if it gets 70 here, then that's fall. Like that's cold. And now we had, year before last, we had a huge cold snap here in Texas and it fucked us up. Like we got down to like 23.
Yeah.
But we don't get snow, we just get ice. Everything just turns to ice. Because again, I live in a swamp. Like, I mean, it's not supposed to get that cold. It killed all my plants and like, and on top of that, like we don't have the insulation in our houses to help with that. So I lost my electricity, I lost my water, and it was like 20 degrees. So yeah, no heat, nothing. So we like suffered, and I know a lot of people died, and it was just really bad.
Yeah, no. Plus too, like when in those scenarios, people turn into animals. You know what I mean? Like that's when you see the worst of humanity.
Survival, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. Justin, next question, please.
If you got exiled from America, what country would you go to?
Ooh, great question.
Ooh, so hard too. I have not left this country since I was 18.
Oh,
Where'd you go?
And I am 49. So
what? I thought you were 27. Get out.
I think, but Botox. But no, I mean, it's hard for me to say that because I think there's so many places I want to go explore. And I honestly, because I had children, you know, at a pretty young age, I never got to do that. So I'll be doing that. My son's done with high school in 2 years, and then I'll go.
Hey, there you go. I would recommend Italy. It was the Amalfi Coast.
like the kids want to go there too. So I'm like,
Uh,
next trip, that's where we need to just save up and go. So
are you a history buff at all?
depends on what history.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big history guy, and when we went there, like we went to Pompeii and like
Mhm.
obviously did like the Colosseum and the Roman Forum and things like that. But Pompeii was absolutely
Amazing.
it was fascinating. Just the way, like, because they would have like different things. Like they would have these stones in like the street. It was like a cobblestone street. The curbs were like 3 feet up, because you would dump all your trash in like your chamber pots or whatever
Right.
in the street. And the way that they had the crosswalks,
Wash through.
correct, and they had like these crosswalks, the way they did it is that the streets were like, the sidewalks were like 3 feet, or not 3 but like 2 feet up. Then they would have stones that were like spaced apart, right, so that a horse cart could get through. You know what I mean? And you would cross the street by going over the stones. And they had like these special rocks in there that reflected the moonlight that would light up the street when you would walk. I was like, this is genius. It was genius.
Well, and think like they were like so advanced civilization.
Yeah.
And natural disasters destroys us.
So it's and the crazy thing was, when we did the tour, the dude showed us where their harbor was, right? Like where the docks were for their harbor for Pompeii, right? It was like that was the Mediterranean, right? And then now the coastline was 3 miles away. So
Wow.
that's how much, like, I was like, that's insane,
Crazy.
Yeah. But
I
no,
actually taught when I was a teacher, I taught early childhood. So my kids were kindergarten, first, second graders.
yeah,
And then I ended
they
up
must
getting
have loved you.
in English as a second language.
Oh,
And I taught lots of children that were from other countries and couldn't necessarily speak English, but I went off a book series called the Magic Tree House.
oh,
And they're like 10 little chapters, but you could read like a whole book in a week. So like I would read a chapter a day, and then I would take that and I would incorporate like all the subjects, because I had to teach everything. So
yeah,
I would be like math based on this, math based on that. And one of the places they go is Pompeii. So when I went to or when I taught those classes, I would bring up like things on my whiteboard of like Pompeii and like real photos of like the dog that's covered in ash. And
yeah.
this is in Pompeii, and because the kids in the book, that's where they went. So like we would learn all about that, and it was just super cool and interesting, and especially with the kids that were from other countries, because you can just go, a lot of them are from, like there were some from Italy, some from India, some from, so the places that they would go, then you would get personal experience from. So it was just a really cool way of teaching.
That is cool.
I mean, the system
love that.
continue, but
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I love that. That's a great way to do it. What when you said you left when you left the country when you were 18, where did you go?
I went to England. I went to
Did you do like a visit your family
France.
tour, or?
I went with a cousin who,
Okay.
and then they had clients that lived in Belgium and Denmark, so I went there. And but we stuck around like that little area, it's not too far off. So I've been around like the little central area of Europe, but I haven't been to Spain, and I haven't been to Italy, and so that's where we need to go.
Yeah, get ready to. Albania is going to be the hot spot. I'm telling you right now.
Heard about that. I've heard about that.
Yeah. It's incredible. I've been there. Nice. Justin, go ahead. Next question.
That's all the questions I have for you, unless you have any questions for me.
I don't know what to ask you.
There's nothing you can ask him.
What's your favorite color?
Ooh.
I'd say green, but it's probably black.
Yeah.
That's not a color.
I know, but
That's the absence of color.
If you look at my closet,
Holy shit,
clothes are
you're
black.
right. Wow. Yeah, you're right. It is the absence of color, man.
So that doesn't count. You can't see black.
Yeah, you freaking
green.
No color.
weirdo.
That's not the rainbow.
He's like dark gray.
Again, like, okay, so you added some white, so white and black.
Love it. So, okay, nice. So let's keep it moving then. Justin, thank you for that. So Dee, I want to keep it going. So you were, like you said, you were a teacher, right? And you had brought it up that you had some fun in your youth and you were exploring yourself and having a good time, and shit, and dudes were digging you and everything like that, and you were just having some fun. But then you would get married, and then once you got married, though, that was over. You were locked down, right?
Well,
okay.
because of my own mentality. It
Right.
wasn't because of him at all.
Yeah.
He was the opposite. So, when it came to my sexuality, and I'm not shy about it, but because
Nor
it
should you
affects
have
so
to be.
many people, that I lost my virginity to sexual assault, and it happened when I was 16, and it happened with a stranger in public, like in the middle of an apartment complex. So like it was violence, but when you have grown up in a family that does not show any form of physical intimacy, and you then have some kind of physical intimacy, which also connects sexual intimacy, but in a violent way, it's very disassociating. So I call myself a survivor. I don't call myself a victim. But survivors of these types of incidents, which, people don't realize, 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted. 1 in 4 men are sexually assaulted. This is a huge problem in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of those things that changed the trajectory of my life. Because when you remove such a basic instinct, sex is a basic instinct to being human. We literally would be just these energy beings and not be these carbon-based creatures without it. Like, we won't stay human if we don't have sex. Like, it's how we reproduce. So with that being the case, like I disassociated sex with reality. Like, my reality was super conservative. My reality was I'm an introvert. My reality was I was in color guard. I hated music. I wasn't good at it. I couldn't march. I'm built like a black girl, sorry, but I have that structure of like super curvy, and I couldn't do like this 1, 2, like you stay in, no, like my energy is not like that. Like, I can't move that way. So I actually joined, my mother wouldn't allow me to be in dance teams because it was too expensive and she didn't want to go. So instead I had to still be connected with the band. So I joined the color guard. So I learned to twirl and I learned to dance with them. Well, that was pretty much my social expansive, friend network in school. I stuck around them, and then I had my best friends that did other things, but we all met in band, and band camp and like what happens at band camp, like we'll keep it there.
Can I ask you, so I've had several friends that were in band, right? Yeah. And band does get the rap of like, nerds and things like that. But he told me, he's like, bro, you have to plant seeds. When you're a sophomore and everyone's a nerd, you're going to have someone that's like, a sophomore that's, she looks like a nerd. But by the time it's senior year, that flower's bloomed and it's looking pretty good. So he was like, by the time when you were older on the band, it's like 100 kids or whatever on a bus and you're traveling everywhere together. He's like, shit got pretty fun and it got pretty. He's like, the band knew how to party.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like this actually, that happened when I was leaving a party for band people. And so it was one of those things that, like I said, changed the trajectory of what I did. And what I did was keep my conservative life separate from my sexual life. And like I said, lots of one-night stands. I would go out and dance. I loved music, but I in the sense of dancing, but not in the sense of playing. Like, no, but I just don't. I don't have that gift. Same. But I liked the socialization of people not knowing who I was. Like, I didn't care what the guy's name was. I didn't care what the girl's name was. Like, I didn't do a lot with girls back then, but I would go with my girlfriends and we would pick up guys, but it was like, okay, as long as I don't really know you and you're never going to come back home with me, then we can hook up, like we can hang out, because I didn't want my parents to know. Like, I kept my sexual assault a secret until I was 35. Like, I'd been married for 11 years and he never knew. Because I felt like, for one thing, I felt like it was my fault. And even to this day, my mother says, I don't know why women hang out at bars. They know what's going to happen. So even like, that's her attitude. I knew that back then. Like, and so it was like, this is my fault for putting myself in this situation. I should not have been at that party.
Not true.
And like I said, this person was not even connected. It wasn't like not that that matters, but it wasn't like any connection to who being there at all. It's just wrong place, wrong time. But what I did was, instead of becoming which so many women do, become the victim of this assault and victim of this harassment, where they feel like sex is something that they cannot accept within themselves any longer. And they kind of hate it, but it's just something you have to do if you want to have a family or a relationship. They just kind of go about their business with it, and it's just an act, and it's just action, and it's nothing more, or they connect it so much with an idea of emotion and idea of relationship that they only allow themselves to open up within that space. Like, they're not going to allow themselves to open up otherwise. So because of what I went through, I became more of a man hunter, because I did enjoy, I understand me, and I understand that girl, and I did enjoy the physical touch. I did enjoy the physical intimacy. My body enjoyed the sexual intimacy of that attack, which is very confusing, because people go, well, what's wrong with you? Well, nothing's wrong with me. My body reacted to the physical sensation it felt, and my brain went, what the fuck's happening? So because of that, then I go, okay, my choices are, I become this person who completely shuts down and no longer allows myself to feel anything regarding sexual intimacy and not do it really. Or I can become the opposite, which was, I went out and sought people. I was the manhunter, as you would say, because I was like, I want that feeling, but it's on my terms, and it's on, okay, who am I going to be, and how am I going to approach the subject? So it was something that like happened to me so early, and it is instilled within me. I've always disassociated my life from my regular life, from my sexual life. And honestly, I think because of that, it was easy for me to do so when I decided to get into swinging with my husband, and also into the adult industry, because I always disassociated it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that then. So honestly, it's funny you mentioned that, because I had it, but from a male perspective, right? Where it's like, I didn't have the intimacy from females that that I needed as a child. Right. So then when seeking it from women, right, at first I put it on such a pedestal, right, and I put it so high up there, and then I would treat women like I would be overly nice and then get shit on, right? And then it was like this one girl, I won't say who she is, but I got shit on one too many times, and then I turned into an asshole, and then I became the person that was like, then, being with women and you not using, but not really caring about it, and only in it for the sexual experience, and hit it and quit it kind of thing, right? And after I got through that, and the real search of actual intimacy, physical and emotional, you know what I mean, that is that's the real thing you're looking for. And once you get over the hump of your not having the intimacy as a child or something like that, or the physical intimacy. But it is tough now, because I still sometimes relate love to intimacy, and it's not the same thing, right? You need intimacy, physical intimacy, I should say, and love aren't the same thing. You can have, but I think it's a part of love, right? Wanting to have that is a part of it, but that's not everything. Right.
So this is my opinion. We are love.
Okay.
You are born, you are love. Just like people say, I meditate. I'm very much into meditation. I have been for a really long time, but you don't do meditation. You are meditative, which means your goal is to get to a point where you're always like this. You're always at a state where you are proactive in your life, so that you don't have to be reactive, so that you don't have to take your emotion, which is just your energy in motion, and you're going, okay, what do I do with this? and react to it. So like you were saying in your situation that, you know, this is how you behaved. I can't say I was dissimilar. Like, in my opinion, I kind of took I believe in a divine feminine. I believe in a divine masculine energy within us, and it's within every single person. You have both, but it's identifying that energy and how it feels. And so in your situation, I took the masculine side because I wasn't allowed. When you give someone safety, security, and trust, then they can allow themselves to embrace that unnatural energy. I did not have that ever in my life, and even less so sexually because of my situation. So I embraced the masculine energy, and the masculine energy is the energy of, I'm going to be in control. I'm not going to connect to this. I don't want any reaction to it. I don't want any emotion to it. On my podcast, I spend lots of time talking about it's perfectly fine to have sex without emotion. Like, you don't have to. It can be just a physical act. And it's not incorrect. There's a lot of people that just have sex as a physical act because their body's going to react to what's happening. Like, that's natural for your body to react that way. But that doesn't, what you're doing when you're doing that is, you have a block. You have a block in you caused by trauma. And trauma doesn't have to be, I was in a major car accident. Yeah, I know about that trauma. That's easy to explain. Trauma doesn't have to be the rape that happened to me when I was 16. Yeah, that's easy for me to explain. But trauma can be these generational curses of being taught how to behave in a social situation, which maybe their shit isn't right. Maybe we shouldn't be taught by that person who is neurodivergent to the point of, I'm afraid of the world. Like, we're taught fear. Fear is instilled with us in a society, like music, news, constant fear, fear, fear. Look what's happening. Oh shit, everything's gonna blow up. There's aliens now, and then there's this and that, and be fucking scared. Like, because that's how people control you, is through fear. Because humans' natural instinct, their anxiety, everything is, that's survival. Like, those are your survival instincts to go, oh shit, I can't do that. That's your ego protecting you. So it's letting go of all that and realizing that within myself, I have this masculine and feminine energy, and how do I get a good balance of it? Because I want to be like in a meditative state, even within my relationships, even within my reactions to what happened with other people in society. I want to stay here where this is where my energy is on both sides. I can be in my masculine, I can run my company, and I can turn that on, but I can also be in my feminine where I trust and acknowledge that I want this type of connection. Because remember, like, your feminine is your creative side. Your feminine is that's the part of you that creates, is your feminine. And you want to connect to all those things. So it's natural for you to have your reaction, because that is you going into survival mode. You going into, okay, I'm gonna let this anxiety and this fear take over. So I'm just gonna be an asshole. Well, me, I did the opposite, because your assholeness or your anger, maybe even a ragey type of behavior, means that your survival instinct is to fight. Then there's survival instinct to flight, which means I'm going to avoid it at all fucking costs, and I'm going to run away from everything. Then there's their survival instinct of fawn, which means I'm a people pleaser. I'm going to do whatever you want me to do so that I don't cause conflict. That's where I lie in. I lie in, okay, I will do whatever you'd like me to do, as long as the ending of the situation is that I'm getting my needs met. I'm not feeling abandoned. But again, all these things are within you and caused by trauma. Like, these are the trauma things that happen throughout childhood. And those are generational trauma that are passed down even to your parent. You just don't acknowledge and go, instead of saying, damn, my mom sucked, like, I go, oh, damn, she came from a dad who was in Japan during World War II. He never talked about the war. He never even shared one thing that happened over there. And who the fuck knows what he saw? Then he was married to a woman who couldn't handle that because of her own family's, again, neurodivergency. And so it turns into this, okay, she probably was likely a people pleaser to him and took his energy. So she was like, I'm going to take all this energy from you. I'm going to hold it within myself, and I'm going to be an asshole to my children. And so like this, you transfer this energy, and especially if you're in an intimate relationship with someone else, but you don't realize that you have these intimate relationships through experience. Like I went to Girl Scouts. I say Boy Scouts because we went to Boy Scout camp.
I was in Boy Scouts.
I had intimacy with those people. You have intimacy with the damn person at the gas station you see every day, or you go and get a fucking drink at Starbucks. You become intimate with those people because of experiences. People become intimate with me because they talk to me online. That's still intimacy. You don't have to touch each other. You don't have to fuck each other to have intimate relationships. Every single relationship in your life is an intimate one. You just have to recognize where does it fit on this scale of intimacy, and recognize, oh, that's something that I need. Intimacy is all about our needs. What do we need in ourselves to feel like, you know what, I am fulfilled, I'm satisfied, my desires are met? And it's all about connection. Intimacy and connection have to do with the fact that you just have to identify, oh, well, actually, there's a lot of people in my life that I'm connected to and I don't even realize it. Bethany, would you, coming from like a semi-conservative background, would you have like the similar opinion about intimacy at the beginning and maybe changing or something like that?
Yeah, I think for me it was definitely something I didn't even know that fawn was another option.
Same. I had no idea.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I identify with that. But I definitely think that it was something because I knew, regardless of the intensity, like if you think about it in like the level of bases that we talked about as kids, you can go around or whatever. If it had been one all the way to home run, my mom wouldn't care. She was still going to be very upset with me. So to me, it was almost just like, I'm going to take ownership of this and I'm going to go out and explore what it's like to be a people pleaser to other people outside of my family and get again like that kind of, I really like what you were saying too, Dee, about like you have intimacy with lots of people, you don't realize it. Like I think because I wasn't able to build like the kind of intimacy that I needed within my family, it made it more attractive to seek that out in other places. And
I agree.
I think it's just like, that's something that I've been very vocal about, even to my mom to this day, that I am not passing down to my son. I am not interested in these expectations that are a very small mold that you're expected to fit into and don't fit most people. I don't think.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, with both of you. But let's keep it going. So Dee, like you said, so you would eventually transition into the adult film industry, right? And but it started out, so you were with your husband, and he is a voyeur, right? Is that the right term? And then
okay, so
yeah, sorry, I'm butchering it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm technically still married. We've been separated since August of 2020, but it's hard when you have 3 children and a business that you run together. So for financial reasons, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait. And plus, this is the thing. I wholeheartedly believe in life partners. I believe in not necessarily, well, I kind of do believe in soulmates and things like that, but you can have more than one soulmate. Like your soul needs lots of different mates, to be honest. Like you need a lot of not one person can meet all your needs. That's just impossible. And that's where the understanding that you're intimate with all these other people come into play, and that's not a bad thing. It's okay to feel emotion. It's okay and understanding that emotion is just your energy in motion, that you understand those aspects of yourself. So I was a monogamous wife. I did not do anything with anyone. Once I got married, I was taught that this is how it's going to be. Like you get married. For one thing, my family also doesn't get divorces. Like that's not something that happens in my family. So my mom even told him, like when he agreed, okay, he wanted to ask me to marry him. she's like, you're getting rolled into the family. Like, this is like a gang. Like, you're not leaving. Like, you better be prepared because you're not going to leave.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is it's super toxic. and because like, if people's energy don't match and you're not vibing on the same, frequency, then you're always like this, and you're always pushing back against each other, and you can never get to where you are in that state of being happy, because you are always trying to that's where the people pleasing comes in. That's where the codependency comes in. And I've learned a lot about myself with codependency. I learned that I was raised to be a codependent person by a person who needed me. Like, she needed me to be the person that she could lean on and she could come to. And I thought that you and my mom and dad are codependent on each other. I thought that that's what you were. Like, my intentions were always that whatever I offer to you is for your best interest, in the good of your life, to make yourself better. But what's fucking better? Like, who decides what's better? In my opinion, it was, okay, my husband came from a really messed up childhood. He came from not, finishing high school, getting his GED and wanting to go to tech school, and me saying, you're super fucking smart, go to college. Like, you don't need all this shit. You can go to college, you can do these things, and encouraging him to do that. But it was also in the idea that you needed to get a job to take care of our family. And so he tried for the first 10 years of our marriage to fit into my world, as I said it. He tried to be more conservative, and he hated it. He hated his life. Like, it was not him. He didn't like it. And so at one point we had a kind of a blow up, and I don't talk much about it, but like, he wasn't monogamous, really ever. Like, and I knew this, like, to be honest, like, I was a slut. He was a slut. We met each other at a restaurant. He was the cook, I was the waitress, and the sluts like got together. So like, how can like two sluts just decide that they're not going to be sluts anymore? Like, I accepted him for who he was. I knew this was him. I knew he had brought up to me when we were 20 years old, hey, I want to watch you have sex with one of my friends. I was like, what the fuck? And I was also like, why do you want that? Like, what is your intention here? Like, what do you want to get from it? Do you think you're going to hook up with other girls if I hook up with other guys? Like, what do you want? And then I realized, no, he enjoyed watching. Like, he was a porn fan. Like, he did like that stuff. But that was at 20. I didn't get into the swinging world until I was 35. So, it was good 15 years later that, through that time period, we had babies. I went through different stages in my life, and our relationship went through different stages. So it really took, a blow up. For me to realize, okay, he's super unhappy. And it took, where, he got caught. I was like, oh shit, we went to therapy. But my family was the most important thing to me. So I was dedicated to the idea. Again, you rolled into the family. So I was like, we're going to do whatever we have to do to stay together. And so, we went through the situation there, but like, I had 3 young children and I was a teacher, and honestly, I made no money. So even back in the day, back then, I told him, you're my 401k, I've invested way too much in you to just let you walk out the door and do whatever the hell you want to do. So my codependency was like, you're staying. I don't care what you want. We're gonna do whatever we have to make you stick around. And I did. I opened a door, and I look at as I had a lot of blocks, and I opened this block that I had, which I perceive as a door to my own sexuality. Like, I was kind of the lipstick lesbian in college. Like, I'd make out with girls, but it was most of the time to get boys' attention. But I never did anything with women until I became a swinger. And, I also was introverted and shy and didn't feel comfortable with myself. So by getting onto a local swinger site, the first thing we did was get on webcam. And I'd never heard of like webcams before that. This was a long time ago.
What year was this?
Oh my gosh.
Like, are you doing this on like a 56K modem or something?
It
Like,
was like 2006, maybe.
oh wow. So this is
So
some like lot
brand
of
new,
pixelation and yeah.
awful webcam,
Yeah.
terrible. And it was just, I think it was just like whatever was on the computer.
Mhm.
It just turned it on and it was bad, but I loved seeing all these names like fill up with people watching. And it was a turn on to me to have
Yeah.
that many people paying attention to me.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was invisible before that. I felt like I was an elementary school teacher. Nobody paid attention to me. I even had my 30th birthday party and nobody came, and except for my neighbor, and we ended up skinny dipping in the community pool. But like it turned out to be a fun night. But
Yeah.
and sometimes I say, well, did my husband really plan that? Did he not really invite anybody else? So we ended up skinny dipping. It's because it was like, what the hell? Like, no, why does nobody come? But like, I didn't have a large circle of friends. I'm not a social butterfly. That was him, not me. And so I, getting into the swinging world was exciting, interesting, evolutionary, but it also was full of within me anxiety and fear. So a lot of what I did, a lot of what I chose was influenced by drugs and alcohol, to be honest, because that let down that fear, that anxiety phase of me. And then at that same time, I decided to put myself, I'll straight up say I put myself on anti-anxiety medicine and antidepressants because I felt like that was my problem. I felt like I had major depression. I had major social anxiety. But now I've realized also that I also took other people's energy because these are things that like he had, or my mom had, or somebody else had, and I surrounded myself with so many different people within the swinging community because we got really like popular. We hosted lots and lots of parties.
I bet.
And we were crazy. Like we were the crazy ones having sex in the hallway while everybody's just like having a drink. And we're like, whatever, like, and so we did crazy shit, and that's not even as crazy as it got a lot crazier, but as my career went on, but it was one of those things that like it's very difficult to be in my opinion, to be in the swinging community because you're talking about not just two people getting along, but four people getting along. Like you have two couples. So you have two girls and you have two guys. Well, the guy may be like, damn, she's hot. The girls may be like, I like each other, but do you think this girl over here maybe likes your husband? Maybe not. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe the girls don't like each other. Normally when the girls don't like each other, then nothing's going to work. But you also, it's good to be bisexual in the swinging community. If you're not, then you're probably
for both men and women. It's good to be bisexual.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a prejudice against bisexual men. And I think that is in society in general. I think that's slowly changing. I feel like that's opening up more. Same thing with trans. Like, I think these are things that are becoming more mainstream, where in the past it was like, what? Like, and people understanding all these different sexualities that are out there these days. Like LGBTQ is just the tip of the iceberg. Like there's a reason for that. Plus there's a million other different ones. There's like 57. And, but people actually understanding sexuality better and understanding that it comes from, your brain structure, and understanding that you're not this like deviant creature just because you think differently and you feel differently. When I was in high school, no girls did anything with anybody like that. You didn't do that. Being bisexual, even as a female, was not cool. Like back in the late 80s, early 90s. I went to Lilith Fair in college and over again because I was like, hell yeah, I'm Melissa Etheridge, let's go. And I didn't even know she was gay.
Yeah.
Like, I still love her. So yeah, it was one of those things that as I grew older, I realized, wow, there's all these different things to me. And I really opened myself up to women that I never had done before, even though my very first sexual experience, like really was like super young with another girl. And when I masturbated, I looked at Playboy magazines in my cousin's bathroom, like, and my first porn to watch was a lesbian porn. So like, there's all these things that made me go, I love women but there was that block saying, no, you don't love women. You
Mhm.
can't love women. This is not this, you're going to get in trouble
Mhm.
because that's what I thought my family would think of me.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it's wrong. It's wrong to like, yeah. When it's not, you're just, it's like beauty's beauty, you know, you're appreciating the beauty and their sexuality, and that's a perfectly fine thing for two consenting adults, right? You know, and there's nothing
Well,
wrong
and
with that.
I now see myself, well, and I know so much more. I'm certified as a sex educator. So like, I know more about sexuality than I've ever known. And I do consider myself a sapio pansexual. So to be sapiosexual means you're attracted to intelligence, as you can probably see why. Like I'm really attracted to neuroscientists. Like I'm like, I'll just sit and listen, and I'm just like,
But that's great though, you know.
yeah, I mean, super interested in science and super interested, well, really into any intelligent conversation I'm attracted to.
Same.
And then I'm pansexual because I just don't have a type. Like, I don't care if you're a boy, girl, trans, I could care less. Like if there is a emotional connection and an emotional intimacy between us and we vibe, then cool. I vibe with you, you vibe with me. Now, that didn't mean I'll always have sexual intimacy with you just because we vibe.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that sexual intimacy is the be all. Like, and that's the whole thing, is that people base their relationships, and I did too, around sex.
Yes.
My husband and I had an amazing sex life, but any problem we ever had, we addressed it by fucking each other.
Yeah.
And then you get a dopamine hit and you feel better. And then you go, okay, really, I'm just never going to address the real problem in the first place.
Yep.
Because now I'm good. Now, you know, I had an orgasm.
I got my fix. Yeah.
So we're good now, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think the problem, well, I know the problem with that is it gets to the point where finally you realize, oh, there's a lot more to life. And I pushed myself to that stage. Swinging was just, again, the little tip of the iceberg. After that, I actually started as a webcam model.
Okay.
Again, that was kind of like
that was like your intro into like making money.
Yeah, I realized I was a boy or an exhibitionist. I realized that I got off to showing off to other people. And because of all those little names that popped up on that website, I was like, whoa, like that, I'm into that. And he realized, oh, wow, like I love watching us have sex. I love watching every aspect of all this. And so together, like I decided, for one thing, I hated, by that point, I loved teaching, but I hated the system. It took away all my, where I taught, they took away all my, really all my education and forced me to teach a curriculum that was based on testing. And it was awful because like literally they're 5 and 6 year olds. They don't even know how to read. So why are we doing stupid shit with them? And no matter what I did, like it just didn't work out. And that's a whole story in itself, which you can listen to on the podcast. But yeah, from there, it's like we got to a stage of swinging where, for one thing, it was a little less controllable on my ends. Like I felt like, whoa, things are kind of crazy. Like we're hooking up with crazy people and like what's happening here. And I mean, again, the stories are like, I could stay on here all day. Because like I've had crazy stories with random people. And then
if you want to hear some of these stories, there's a link in the description for Siren Sexy Secrets podcast, which shout it out. Great listen. Love the show.
Thank
Fantastic.
You.
No, of course.
And then from there, I just felt like, okay, for one thing, I have more control within a professional setting. And I love webcam. I left teaching because I tried webcam for 2 months and I made more money in 2 months than I had made all year teaching. So I was like, what is doing? Like, it's crazy. I can work from 11 to 4 a.m. I had a baby at the time and I could work at night and make a crazy amount of money.
And doing what you love, like you loved teaching, but like something you're like, you explored a new passion with this webcam.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, like I didn't even own a sex toy. Like I didn't even own a sex toy until I became a webcam model.
Wow.
Like, I never did those things. Like, things I did, and nobody told me about them. And there was never that openness like there is today. And so I didn't own anything like that. I was like, well, I'm married. Like, why would I need a sex toy? My attitude was the same as everybody else's. Like, oh, it's competition. Fuck no, it's not competition. Come on. Like, give me a break. But I also felt like, damn, masturbating's weird. Like I did it, like I said, in the bathroom of my cousin's house, or like under the bathroom faucet. Like, that's it. And I was like, okay, like that's all I can get away with. Almost like I can't explore this further until I got a webcam. And then people on webcam ask you to do all kinds of crazy shit. And then I was like, okay, well, let me try this. Okay, let me try that. And I ended up, I'd already had 3 children. I was already 35. I was not young. And I ended up, enjoying toys more than ever. And I can use crazy ass toys that are huge. And so everybody said I was
fun. Yeah.
Well, everyone said I was too extreme for webcam. Maybe I needed to try porn. So I was too extreme for swinging. I was too extreme for webcam. So now, but that was back in the day. Like,
right
now there is no extreme on webcam. but
No.
yeah, I mean, it was back in the day when everything was private and you didn't get naked until somebody took you into a private room. So it was super private, but I made a lot of money and I had a lot of fun. And I started to explore me and getting to know my own body and getting to know, like, damn, I could do this. I'd already known I could do some crazy shit because I was kind of always the party trick. I know that sounds bad, but like, I can blow air out of my eyes. I can put my fist in my mouth. I can dislocate my jaw. So I would do these things like in high school at parties anyway, just to fuck around.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh damn, I can also do this shit with my vagina. And
when you're doing the webcam stuff, is this like it's almost like an exploration of art as well, right? Where, because you're like, one, like you're getting off to like getting the other person off, right? But then also it's like you're exploring these new things. You're like, oh, how about I try this and move this way and do like this, and oh wow, I look great like that. You know what I mean? Like, and you're just seeing like, like it's like artistic sexuality in a way. You know what I mean?
Well, it's exactly what it is. What I consider anyone in the adult entertainment industry is a performance artist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Our
You guys are definitely.
union is called the Adult Performance Artist Guild. Like, that's what it stands for. So like that's what we do is we are I named it. Yay. But it used to be called something different. I think it was adult artist.
You named the union?
I did.
That's fucking great.
I'm really good friends with the
I love that there's a union. I absolutely fucking love it. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it used to be called, like, it was just the Adult Artists Guild. And I was like, really, we're performance artists.
Damn right.
And so they changed it to, instead of it changed to APAG, which is Adult Performance Artists Guild. So like, it's adding the performance in there, because what people don't, when they look at sex workers, for one thing, they just see objectivity. And they just see
they think like, oh, they're sleeping around. Yeah.
And deviancy. And sadly, society, because of political and religious reasons, and which all come down to control, have put this stigma upon our industry that we are traffickers, and like, we're part of this human trafficking, sex trafficking shit.
Yeah.
And that's insane. Like, those things happen outside our industry.
Yes.
Not within I'm not saying it doesn't happen within the industry, because there's any industry that probably has these problems. Every industry has human trafficking issues. But I mean, it's so super far between, and not part of the professional side of it. Like, it's more way on the amateur, or people just being fuck ups and putting shit on tube sites. Like, those aren't people that are part of our industry. They are just deviants, period. And they're just using our industry as a means of doing what they do. So yeah, I mean, it's what it gave me when I opened that door is, for one thing, authenticity. I started to realize who I was as a person. I gave myself permission to explore myself. I gave myself permission to explore other humans that I was never able to do. And I really always said, like, when I traveled to film in California from Texas, that it was like a teenage adventure, because that's how I was as a teenager. I just accepted that, you know what, this is me. It's not, it has nothing to do with age. It still doesn't. I'm 49. Like I said, I don't see
I don't
myself
believe it.
any different or changing as a person just because I get older. Like nor did it matter that I was younger. Like, age is not really a factor, because it all has to do with acceptance. And once women especially accept their sexual power, because that's really what it is, you just evolve to a different level. And I do feel like those in this industry and within sex work in the sex world are more evolved than a lot of society.
But can I ask you this, Dee? So when I watch you perform, and I do want to say this now, you are a fantastic performer, absolutely fantastic. But one of the things that I think that draws people to you is like your enthusiasm, but it's authentic enthusiasm, right? Like, you love what you're doing and you're really good at it, but it's like a passionate enthusiasm that it comes across screen, and it's really, really, like, that's very attractive, I think, to most people. So when you're talking about your sexual power, is that part of like your sexual power, you think, is like your authenticity and your enthusiasm and what you're doing in your performance? So that's okay.
Well, and I think it comes down to, it doesn't even have to be sex. Like, it comes down to just being authentic and knowing your purpose. Like, when I say purpose, I don't mean like you have this divine finishing purpose in life. You may not, but some people do, some people don't. Some people have gifts that are obvious. Like, we're just like, damn, you're a great basketball player. Well, our society recognizes those gifts and it says, damn, you're great. So we're going to pay you a lot of money, and we're going to make sure your gift is accentuated, because, well, we can use you as an entertainer. But the fact is that everybody has gifts. Like, they're innate to you. I think that mine was a performer. Like, I think that's part of who I am. I do believe in human design, and that's not something not everybody's it's kind of like mixing astrology with, well, expanding astrology with the understanding of like I said, your energy body and who you are within that energy space. Because our thoughts, everybody's perspective is different. Nobody will see the world the way I see it. Nobody's going to see the world way you see it. Nobody, zero. It doesn't matter how close you are, because their energy is what makes up their thoughts. So my energy is never going to be the same as anyone else. And it's just not. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that once I opened that door, I built, for one thing, such positive body confidence in me. And that holds women back more than anything. And even men, where they just feel like, I am not confident enough in myself to do these things. And so therefore I'm going to judge everybody that is, because anything you think of somebody else, anything you judge against somebody else, is just a projection of your own shit. Correct. Like, it's just you going, damn, this is how I feel about it. And who the fuck cares? Because it's just you projecting, like, oh, I don't feel good about myself. Oh, I need more plastic surgery. So I'm going to be mad at that girl for looking like I want to look, and I can't do it right. And I'd had 3 kids. I have stretch marks. I have a tummy.
Your curves is probably the most attractive thing about you.
I'm considered a BBW, with whatever. Again, that's a fucking label, and it's stupid.
Right. Agreed.
But I'm like, you mean I'm considered like normal? Like, I don't have to go be this thing that is filtered and strange. I just never let it overtake my fun. Like, I was just having a good time and really truly connecting with the experience, and also being fucking present. It is a huge thing in life to live today, because this is all that exists right now. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. What happens tomorrow doesn't matter, because it doesn't exist. It's all made up in your mind. And so instead, like, what happens right now is the only reality. So when I would make my films, I can say that as a performer, I push myself, because but nobody made me. I did it myself. I'm like, yeah, let's have a 40-person blow bang at an adult book a theater. What the fuck do I care? It's still only 5 dicks in front of me at one time. So like it's either 5 dicks or there's 40 dicks. They can just rotate,
Right.
And it's just having the non-concern about anyone else's perspective of the situation, living right now and enjoying yourself, whatever you're doing. The only thing I can say, and this is not anyone's fault but my own, is I did not know how to say no, and I did not know what a boundary was. And these are things that I found about myself just within 2 years, is that there were things I did that I'm like, damn, I wouldn't do again.
Yeah.
But I also was someone who was willing to take the chance to try anything and everything. I've had my vagina electrocuted. I've had
Sounds shocking.
I've done like the most ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, not my thing, but now I know, nah, not my thing. But I'm not going to judge somebody else who enjoys electrocuting their vagina. Like if that's what you want to do and that's what your body reacts to and you enjoy it, then by all means,
knock your socks off.
Heal yourself. If you use a lot of things in BDSM are actually used to help with mental health and to heal some kind of trauma that these people have gone through. And it actually is a release. So if that can be done in a consensual, safe, protected way, then what am I here to judge them for? I've gone to true dungeons and been tied up and observed and seen. To me, some of it is like, what the fuck's happening? That's crazy. Like, I would never do any of this shit. Sometimes, there were people dressed up like they were in Harry Potter, and then they're, laying on a cage with their husband locked underneath, and they're being like stroked with feathers. And I'm like, whatever the fuck you want to do, who cares? It's your carbon-based body. This is mine. Like, this is my little like, avatar that I get to go do whatever the fuck I want with it. Sure. So as long as I'm not hurting anyone else, then, or disrupting their purpose in life, then what is it anyone else's opinion that matters of me? Because again, you can have the same reaction to me not stopping at a light or being there too long and being on my phone that you could have to me being in porn. Like it could be the same fucking reaction of, oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, fuck, like, what the fuck? Yeah.
But guess what? That's all your fucking problem, because you are the one who's having that reaction. It's not me. You don't know that I'm not on my phone with my kid who just may have been in a car accident. You don't know if I'm fucking sick and I'm trying to get to a hospital. You don't know why somebody runs the red light. You don't know why somebody it decides to make porn. Like, it's not your fucking business, because it's not your path. And everybody has their own path. And that's what it came down to. My relationship is that I had the realization that why are we forcing each other to be in a toxic situation when it's not necessary? We can be life partners. We can co-parent. We can even at some point become friends again, because we haven't been friends for a long time. Maybe we can still work together. Maybe we can't. Turns out we can't. But, I still see him. I wish him well. I have a relationship with him, and I always will. And I truly want, more than anything, for him to be happy and find his own way. Because I decided at that point, it's time to heal myself. So I've really, for my fans, they ask me all the time, when are you going to make more content for your website? Because like most of my content's on my website. It's like 400 movies.
Which there'll be a link in the description of this episode for that website.
Yeah, and it's a great fucking deal right now. So you should join now, because if you join later, it's not going to be as much of a great deal. Because the way it's set up right now, you get crazy amount of content for nothing. But then I realized, okay, I did a lot of these things because he pushed my boundaries. And now I realize that's not real healthy to have someone else saying.
And that was you being a fawn in the way of you wanted to please him. Okay, I'll do this even though I'm not 100% comfortable or into it. Yeah. Okay.
And that's my codependency. That's my saying I'm going to do whatever it takes. And that's his own mental health and his issues and his way of dealing with life that wanted to control the situation and tell me what to do. We did have a dominant submissive relationship there, that he was the only person I had that with, because there was that trust, there was that safety. And for a long time, there was the truth. But the fact is that people grow and change. And I grew through the adult industry immensely. Like, I grew as a human being. I grew as a woman. I grew as, and now even more so now. But it opened up something in me that had been repressed. And I also grew because of my connections and experiences and trying all these different people, that I was like, oh, I really know what I like and what I don't like. And I'm willing to speak up for myself and find my throat chakra and say what I want to say and not feel held back with no voice, and say, you know what, I think it's time to like try something different. And honestly, like, I've gotten to a point now, and that's a new stage of my life, is more, I was a hot wife. To be a hot wife, you either cheat on your husband and you have a cuck, which in terms of cuck in porn is like the guy sits back, jerks off, never participates.
Okay.
He doesn't care that his wife is cheating, knows about it, may not even be happy with it, but knows about it.
Yeah.
I was never that person, because for one thing, I suck at lying. So I will get caught. I'll just tell on myself. So what's the point? So anyway, I was more of the hot wife, like, I'm going out, and it was all his idea. It was always his. And that's what I talk about on the podcast too, is that him instigating everything. He instigated it all. But I just said, okay, sure, why not? And
people,
if it was
I'll do whatever to please. Yeah.
If it was on film, even more so. Like, as long as you're recording it, as long as it's going out there to the public, as long as I'm making money. And it's another experience that I can try, and it's different, and I'm not bored with it, which I was never really bored with any of it. And on top of that, like, I learned during webcam that I'm multi-orgasmic. I learned all about myself. I learned I was a squirter. I learned that I can feel these sensations within my body that are real. I don't understand how to fake anything, but like I said, I just don't. So these were things about me that I was like, damn, she's, for what, my vagina is D. The rest of me is not D. She's D. She's a beast. Yeah. She's a beast who never stops.
She is a pro's pro.
And she just, that's not even me, that's her. And so like, I don't know, I'm at a stage now where I've cut her down.
Well, that's on well, honestly, that's one of the things I really wanted to get you on here about after listening to your show and going over your bio and stuff like that, is that you're right. There is Dee, and then there's you. You're a very smart, intellectual person that has a vast experiences and personality and an excellent view on life. And that's great that we were able to like talk about this. I do want to say this, Dee, I want to respect your time. We're coming close to the top of time. Do you have a couple more minutes? Because I know Bethany has to drop. I just had like one or two more questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Bethany, before you go, do you have any other questions for Dee?
Yeah, let me look real quick. I know I jotted down a couple. Is there anything that you have wanted to do more often? I think especially hearing that some of the things you were trying were kind of guided by another person's opinion. Is there anything that you're kind of exploring now that comes completely from desire inside yourself?
Ooh, great question.
So I'm actually building my own website. My old website was built by him, and his influences all over the place. Like, I own Siren X Studios, and there's two other websites as well, but a lot of that, like, maybe I'm very creative, so like the creative aspect was me. I can direct, I can produce. He was always the videographer and the photographer and edited, and he has a degree in IT, so he was always the web guy. So like together we were a great team, and we built that studio. But as like I said, he instigated a lot of it, and the biggest thing for him was that I shouldn't have any emotion. I shouldn't be connected or have much emotion within what I was doing. And I talk about it a lot on my podcast, how like just have sex, don't think about it. I don't remember who you are unless I get to know you, which is true. I don't remember people's faces or names. I probably remember their penis more than any. Girls are different, but boys, like I probably don't. And it's just because of the situation I'm in. I don't put myself in a situation to get to know you unless you put yourself out there to get to know me. And I think that's the biggest difference is now I understand emotion. I understand how to regulate my emotions. I understand that emotion is energy in motion. I understand that there's also absolutely no way for you to have intimacy with someone in any form without emotion. Like we are energy beings. So there is just no way to take your energy and make it go away. And especially if you're like me, who is very authentic, does these things, has fun with them, truly enjoys themselves, and has like multiple orgasms throughout the whole thing. How can I say that I'm not connected emotionally to what's happening? I think I blocked myself and told myself that wasn't real, and I wasn't having any emotion. But now I think it's just from not understanding that. So the future holds more me. I think more sensuality, more eroticism. I heard a poem that was written back in the 60s. I listened to a woman. Actually, my daughter is in a human sexuality class and also a women's class and in college. And this woman said, there's beauty in the erotic and there's power in the erotic. But when you call it porn, you take away the beauty and the power. Because you're becoming, when you say that there is no emotional connection to what you're doing, and this is just an object, and it's just you're objectified by the pornography, then it becomes ridiculous. And it's ridiculous because you're denying the human connection to it. You're acting as if these penises are just a thing. And, and to be honest, I've taken 2 years of myself to separate myself from having lots of sexual intimacy. I'm super interested in having emotional, intellectual, experiential intimacy more than the sexual intimacy. I've done everything. Like I've done it everywhere. I've been on the top of buildings. I've been outside. And it's like, I don't think there's anything I truly haven't done that I'd be interested in doing. Except adding some emotion to it, and more than anything, adding eye contact, because I'm all about like, look into my fucking soul. I will mind fuck you. Like I literally, that's what I want. But I want it on camera, and I want it seen, and I want the sweat, and I want every little thing that you can see. And I want it to just be people that are not these objects that you like have this strange adoration for, that there's no connection. So really that connection, intimacy, and emotion.
That's fantastic. Bethany, I know you have a flight to catch. Thank you for doing this. I know you have to drop, but thank you so much, Bethany. But Dee, I do have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Bethany, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
It was a pleasure meeting you and talking to you. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thanks, Bethany.
Bye-bye.
This was a great job. Thank you. So,
Bye.
Dee, a couple more questions before we get out of here. So I did want to ask, and this is going to be adult film industry related stuff. What is the worst thing about doing porn? I mean, if I can call it porn. Or your adult performance art, I should say.
The worst thing is judgment and misunderstanding and I would think being excluded from society and discriminated against in society because I am a sexual woman that is free to be who I am, and you are like threatened by that. And because like for instance, my friend Alana Evans, who has been all over the news lately because Wells Fargo shut down her accounts. She's been with them for 30 years, and she's been a porn actress for 30 years, and like they shut down her accounts for no reason, no explanation, and we know it's because of who she is. And banking industry, anything like that, all these religious extremists, like you have to really open your eyes, awaken yourself to what's going on around you, and realizing, look beyond what you see on the surface, because people say things and judge things, again, like I said, is a projection of who they are.
Yeah.
So if you are talking about human trafficking all the time, then either you have been human trafficked and you've had that experience in your life, or there's something other motivation going on there. Correct. Which is where I question these things, because a lot of times it's financial. A lot of times it's I know I can make money off of this, and that's where all that shit comes from. So and that just affects society as a whole and their judgments about people. And I just think it's, when it comes down to it, even though men love me and may objectify every woman they see, they still want the control. And when you give the control over, my industry, women make more money in my industry.
Oh, not even close. Yeah.
Yeah, the men don't make shit. And I'm not even for that. I think men should make more money. Like, if you can do this, damn, it's hard. Like, to keep it up.
Literally and figuratively. Yeah.
Hours for the day to come on command. Those things are hard to do.
Yeah, impossible. Not a lot of people
can do it. So, like, that's why you always see the same guys and everything, is because there's only a handful that can truly do it. Now, my field's a little different because I just like normal guys.
There's guys you've worked with that can finish on command, like.
Oh, wow. all the professional. And if they don't finish on command, even though they are super professional and they have problems at all, directors are not nice. They're mean. They're like
what the
are you doing? Like, you are ruining my shoot. Like, you better get yourself in the bathroom, take care of yourself, and get over here and do this shit. Like,
what?
So, like, most of the time during sex scenes, there's no cut. Like, you don't stop.
Yeah.
And I mean, occasionally, but normally not. And I've been in films where most of my professional films, they come when they say, okay, because when you're on set, there's a process. Like, for girls, it's like hair and makeup, then you do pretty girl photos, so you'd have like an entire set of photos, and then you bring the guy in and you have a couple of photos, but mainly you do hardcore stills, which are photos. So you run through the entire scene in photos. So you're literally talking about a guy sitting there having to have a hard penis while you're not moving. Like, it just stays hard. Or you're like in an awkward position.
You're like, okay, now we're switching to doggy. Yeah, okay.
And you are up here, and then there's another guy's penis right next to you, and and I mean, it can get crazy.
Yeah.
But that's how professional shoots are, is that you have to do all that in photos. Then after that, you have to actually go and make the scene that you just practiced in pictures. So now, not only that, I mean, you're talking like 8 hours a day. So how long do you have to have a hard penis? Like 4 hours?
Wow.
Like, it's hard.
And it's like, and you have to, like, it's like you have to prevent from finishing, but then finish at the right, like, man, that's incredible. That, I mean,
self-control. A lot of guys use medication and injections and things to them. And especially if you are professional and do more than one shoot a day, because they don't make a ton of money. So they may have to go and shoot 3 times a day and make 3 different films.
What's the most scenes you've shot in a day?
Oh, well, I always did my own thing. So like, I left webcam with my very first scene was called Huge Holes 15, and it was a big toy scene. So it was with Nadia Alicia out of Tampa. She brought me in with her husband. We played with huge toys, and it was super simple. So like, it was 3 different scenes, but for one movie.
Oh, I see.
So it wasn't hard. After that, she shared like how she ran her business, and we kind of modeled her business with that. We were professional amateurs. We shot gonzo, we shot real shit. We did our own thing. So I own all my content. So if anyone ever wants to be in this industry, own your content. Like, stop wearing it. I only filmed for professional companies like, Brazzers and Evil Angel and Reality Kings and all these different companies as marketing, because it was like, okay, once a month, go out, shoot these films. Porn people don't get paid a ton. We're not rich, but performers now make a lot more money than they used to make, because now everything's in our hands.
Yeah.
With OnlyFans, with all the different platforms out there where you can make your own content, sell it yourself. I've done that forever. Like all my 400 movies belong to me, and I can sell them for the rest of my life. And it does not matter if I'm 90 years old, I can still sell it, because guess what? They'll still watch it. Yeah. and so it doesn't matter. Now I can talk about spirituality and everything that I love to talk about, but those 400 movies stand for themselves.
Yeah.
And you know, you can change in life, but if you own the content, it's king. Like content's king.
Content's king.
Yeah,
that's true. And then okay, so God, I just had a thought. Oh, all right. So you're God, what was I just thinking? You're talking about oh, damn it, brain fart. I'm sorry. You're so distracting, Dee. You just do this to everybody. But no, okay. So the worst part is the judgment and everything. What is the best part of doing porn or adult performance? Sorry.
The best part is that I truly believe that I found my people.
They're your tribe, you call them, right?
Yeah, I don't feel like I fit in anywhere throughout my life until I found my people. And most people that are in sex work in some form or fashion by nature are going to be, like I said, neurodivergent. They don't fit in the box.
Yeah.
Because if you choose to do sex work, then you are blowing the box up. Like it's literally being like, fuck society, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like because once you put yourself out there, you can't fit in that box anymore. You've expanded past it. I can't go back and be an elementary school teacher. They'd never let me around children, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like I get it too. I get it that, you know, the second you give your 8-year-old a cell phone, they're going to be exposed to pornography. You can't stop it. If they don't see it from their cell phone, they'll see it from somebody else's. Yeah. And they're going to share it with you. So you have to, I strongly believe in sharing information. I strongly believe in communicating with your children. I strongly believe in having an open mind and realizing that you cannot control them as sexual beings because it's nature.
Yep.
And it's a basic instinct. There was a reason that movie was called that. And
great movie.
You know, this business has allowed me to open, like I said, these doorways that I know that I would not have opened because I was too afraid. I was afraid of the family. I was afraid of the judgment. I was just full of fear of what if. But I've realized that every risk I have taken in my life up to this point has brought me more evolution. Sometimes it brings me pain. Sometimes it brings me joy. That's all decided within myself. But what it has brought me is growth and evolution and change, which is, I feel like, a human purpose. Like that's our job, is to grow and change.
Agreed.
And without this business, like honestly, I feel more at home with my adult industry than I do with my real family. My real family, I never fit. This family, I fit. Now, I also found a family within spirituality that I finally was able to embrace. So now I feel like I've expanded my family. So yeah, it's one of those things that you just have to find your people, and that's what I did.
That's great. And I'm happy that, you know, and it's great that, I know it took a long road to get there, but that's great that you're able to find them and recognize that and become part of the tribe. So
I'm just so positive. Like people, that's why people have such a shitty idea of who we are as people, that we're weirdos. And I'm like, honestly, we're the most open-minded, easygoing,
accepting.
Like, who doesn't like sex? Like, go to a convention, go to AVN, go to and see all the people and how happy everyone is. There's no fighting, there's no drama. Everybody's practically naked. Like, why are there? How can and where could there be any issues there? Like, so. You don't have that. And honestly, it's gotten to the point now where there's no competition, because competition was made up. Competition was outside influences, like the companies trying to compete with each other. Whereas trust me, everybody has their own perspective, their own vision of what they like. And it doesn't matter who you are. Like if you put yourself out there, you build a platform, you build a personality more than anything, like you said, then you can be successful. And we're all small business owners. So we all own our own businesses. We all run them. We all pay taxes. We all have to do the same shit that you do. We spend most of our
contribute to society just like everybody else. Yeah. And anyone that says they don't watch porn is a fucking liar.
Or a weirdo.
Yeah. So, okay, I have a two-parter question here. Do you have an OnlyFans?
Absolutely. I have two OnlyFans.
All right, cool.
The Dee Siren one is free.
Okay.
I don't really post there except use it to market the VIP one. The VIP one is onlyfans.com/Mrs. Siren.
Okay.
So it's yes, I'm separated, but I earned the Mrs. title. So yeah, I mean, that I plan on keeping. That's where I actually release all my brand new content at this point, until my new website is ready. All my new content on there.
Beautiful. And we'll have links in the description of both of those sites for your OnlyFans and everything else, you know, because you have
the other millions of things.
Hey, you can find you anywhere and it's great. Love it.
Content's king.
More you, the better. Content's king.
Google me and be prepared.
Love it.
Okay. You may see the inside of my butthole.
Same.
Oh, yeah, duh. Don't we all, right? No. Yeah. So okay, then the other question I had is, who is your favorite person you've ever worked with? I mean, if you can't answer that, I understand.
I'd have to say Naughty Alicia. She's my mentor. She always was my mentor.
Nice.
I built a beautiful.
You're close with Virgo too, right?
Yeah. Virgo came after me. And we actually helped her build up her name. She was doing Shaking It on what is that website? Damn, I can't even remember. World of Hip Hop. So she got popular by shaking her ass on World of Hip Hop.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to do adult films. So she went through Siren Studios to make her first films. She and I did everything for her first time together to do all her stuff.
Yeah.
And she's become very successful, and that's amazing. There's quite a few other talents out there that went through my studio to become who they are. And you know, I'm always I want to be a mentor, much like Nadia Alicia was a mentor to me, because I want people to get into this industry the right way. I want them to be successful. I don't want them to fall into traps of being stuck with fake people or people that say they are something that they're not. And because I went through all that shit on my own, like I found out, you know, here, let's do this, you know, fake audition. Like I didn't know it was fake. Let's do this audition. Now, again, I was a swinger. So I was like, that was a weird sex session. Like, why are you telling me to ride you for 2 seconds and switch? And then turn out to be fake? Like, why would you even want that? But like, that's just weird. But you know, I always took those things with a grain of salt. But yeah, I offer now business consultation. Of course, you have to invest in yourself and pay for it. But if you want, you know, the entertainment business is all about who you know. It's all about contact. It's all about understanding marketing and being able to put yourself out there and learn a good way to do that. So I offer that for people who are interested in joining the adult industry. But most of the time, I don't do it as a business. I do it as attending conventions and things that other adult creators can go to, and just giving my expertise and helping people out. So,
well, once a teacher, always a teacher, right?
Always.
Always. My mom's a teacher too, and she said the same thing. Once a teacher, always a teacher.
Always a teacher, always a nurturer, always a teacher. I'm a nurturer, a teacher, and a visionary.
You were on, like, and you've talked about it on your show, Dee Siren Sexy Secrets, or Siren Sexy Secrets, the podcast. But you were kind of almost built to be a nurturer and a caregiver. You know what I mean? Like, even when you were talking about like lactating, you were pumped like 34 ounces a day or something like that.
36 ounces of milk a day. And then nurse my baby. Like, that was just what I pumped just so I could go to work. So yeah, like I was a fucking cow. Like I worked at USAA, which is an auto insurance company in San Antonio, Texas, and they actually are great. They were great to their community, and they offered nursing mothers rooms. So like it was like the biggest building, like above the Pentagon for a while. So such a large place, but like every big building would have a separate nursing mothers room. And so we would all sit there with our, pumps on our boobs and and with like 10 other moms just sitting there talking as we pumped. And it was like, some people would be like, damn, I only got 3 ounces. And I'm like, overflowing.
Like, I got a gallon over here.
I actually like donated milk to the milk bank for
Oh, that's great.
It was like, I make a stupid amount of milk. So yeah, I have baby making hip. Every part of me is to reproduce. Like I did. And if I didn't have birth control, I would have 100 kids. And I have cousins that have like 7, 8 kids. So yeah, they're Catholic, but
hey, it's a beautiful thing.
Side of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I didn't stop myself, I would have had a million children. But
hey,
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
Win the star.
Yeah. No. Nice. Okay, so then what is one person you haven't worked with that you would love to work with? Because you've worked with
really don't pursue
lot.
other people.
Yeah.
Because I've done this for so long. More
people come to you.
People pursue me. I mean, honestly, I don't even know. Like, I don't. I really have done it. There are people more that I'd like to meet and work with when it comes to
like a business side,
directing, producing, and even having them perform in a movie that I'm directing or producing, rather than me actually perform with them. So.
Yeah. And then when you're at AVN, like you said, like you don't recognize guys' faces, but like, has there ever been a time like, oh man, we've met before. Oh, all right, show me your dick. Oh, you. Yeah, like that's never happened, right?
Not at AVN, but yeah, for sure. Like honestly, it's more on set. Like because I've done so many group scenes and so many gangbangs.
Okay.
That, like guys will come back for another time and I'll be like, they're like, I'm so and so. I'm like, oh, okay. And then once we start the scene, I'll be like, oh, I remember you. Like I'll actually even say it in the scene. I'll be like, oh, remember him. Like, yeah, I'm more talking to the penis. Like, don't quite objectify. I mean, I guess that would be objectifying, but in my idea, it's more like, oh yeah, I connected with that guy, meaning his penis, not his mind. So like, unless you actually talk to me, I'm not going to remember your name or your face, but I may remember other body parts.
So I do have this question. So for people that aren't really that, I watch porn, still, right? And I've watched you and you're incredible. But what is like the opinion of the fluffer on set? That's always something that's like I don't know. It's like I understand their role and why they're there, and they're
it doesn't exist. That's the role.
Oh.
In 15 years, there has never been a fluffer on set. Like that does not exist.
Oh wow! So that's just a thing.
That is a fairy tale. That is like not true. Like females do not fluff guys. That's not true. Like I have been in situations where the guy just like can't get it up, but they'll ask. They'll be like, "Can you help?" Most of the time, the answer is no, and the guys have to go deal with it themselves. Like you just jerk off. Like, don't you know how to get your dick hard? Like if you're doing this job, you better know how to get your dick hard. Just like I know how to get my pussy wet, you probably should get your dick hard. Because like otherwise, why are you a professional? Like it's like saying, walking in without the tools to do your job. And so yeah, that's not true. There's nobody's getting paid just to sit there and like suck dick off camera. Like like nah. I don't think I mean who wants that? If anything, and they're gonna add a fluffer, they're gonna record the fluffer too and be like, okay, your job is only to suck dick. Okay, now your job is to like fuck this guy. Like, I mean, but that doesn't really happen. So
does it ever happen like because like a scene like especially like I mean like there's like chemistry on the scene or something, is it ever stuff like happen off scene or behind the camera?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I have really close relationships a lot of times with the directors, not so much the other talent, but more the directors and the producers of it. I've built relationships with them where we've become really good friends, and I'll stay with them or whatever when I come out. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes there's sexual intimacy, sometimes there's not.
Mhm.
I cannot honestly say, maybe twice in 15 years I've actually hooked up with somebody outside of the scene, like right afterward. But there's been times where, like, yeah, I've hooked up with other people outside of the scene, like on an intimate, like a personal basis. So
Mhm.
yeah, it just depends on the person.
Yeah, nice. And then, so you're an admitted, like, size is big for you. And so is there a specific type of scene that you like to shoot the most?
I love toy scenes because, sorry boys, but human penises cannot get as big as my toys. Like, my
No.
toys are crazy.
And they
I
do all this stuff
toys.
and
Yeah, well,
yeah.
actually, most of my toys are dildos, so they don't
Okay.
vibrate so much. Like, I can handle a little vibration, but I'm not like huge on that. Like,
Mhm.
I don't need the clitoral stimulation. Like, my clits are always stimulated. So, like, it's more like I need the stretching, I guess you would say, the girth. And
Mhm.
I'm not huge on length, but I can take a lot. And like, for the last AVN I went to, which was a couple of years ago, like, I think I told 12 girls I like their arms, because I did. I like girls fisting me. Like, it's just something I enjoy doing. Guys are too big. But I enjoy that size of a girl arm. Like, I mean, so, like, I don't know, like, nothing, like, sometimes penises just can't do it. Like, I think maybe you asked me the question of who I'd like to shoot with, I would say Dredd. If you know who Dredd is, he shoots for Jules Jordan a lot, middle-aged black guy, but his penis is like my forearm. So I'm like, I enjoy my forearm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, I probably enjoy that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, honestly, the people that I've found, interestingly, the people that I found that are the biggest are not porn stars.
Mhm.
They are just real people who I don't know who they have sex with.
Oh, wow.
People
So
like me.
like, well, you've met people like in like not in the industry, like outside the industry, that are just like freaking baby's arm holding an apple. You know
Oh
what
yeah.
I mean?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Damn, that's fun.
They could be in the industry. They just have other jobs. So
Oh, wow. Have you told people that? Like, have you been like, dude, you should try it? And they're just like, not for me.
most of the time we make our own porn. Like,
Yeah.
it's for private use only. But yeah, like,
Oh,
they know what they got.
all right.
They're
Yeah.
proud of it.
Hey.
They're happy to record it, but it's just, for personal use instead of letting the world see.
So is that a thing too? Like, when you're into like having sex in your private life, do you still record it?
Sometimes.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll let them record it, and we just, they just keep it because they want a recording. A lot of times I watch in the mirrors. Like, I have sex in front of mirrors so that I can see myself and they can see themselves.
Can't
And
blame you there.
also, like, yeah, like, I mean, as many people as I can. When it comes to, like, if I'm gonna hook up, I try to record them for OnlyFans. So, like, I have a
Nice.
lot of those too, where they'll just be like, I don't care, like, just don't show my face. So like, and I'm like, I'm fine with that. Like,
Yeah.
I just want you to I want to have content. So
That's great.
I'll
But
do that.
that's cool. So then, okay, and then one of the last questions: what is your best moment in the industry? Do you have like a favorite moment, best moment?
I did make a film, directed and produced with my husband, a film for Adult Time. It was, I guess that was my most proud moment. I would say it was more scripted. It was something in several locations, and they're a big company, so be able to direct and produce for them was great.
Mhm.
I plan on doing a lot more of that. I won social media star of the year at YNOT last year, and being up on stage after 15 years and never winning, but being like nominated 100,000 times. I said I'm like the Susan Lucci of like MILF porn. That, you know, I get nominated every year, but I never win. And that was unexpected, exciting. It was great to be able to be in front of my peers and just be able to say what I wanted to say and how much I appreciate them in my life.
That is great.
And I would say those are probably the most memorable things. And honestly, my favorite thing is that I've evolved into this amazing human that I love so much. So
hey, if you no, that is, I'm so happy for you there. And I said at the top of the show, and I do mean it, like it is kind of inspirational for any, and it doesn't even have to be adult content. Anyone that does produce content or make content, people don't realize, everyone thinks like, oh, I can do this or I can do that. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of courage, and there's a lot of like eating crow and like, you know, thinking you have great ideas that don't work out, and like a lot of ups and downs and things like that. And it does take a lot of perseverance and courage. But like you said, you're able to go on this journey and you're happy with yourself at the end. Like you love yourself more now than you've ever have. And I'm just really happy for you that you're living a great life. And, you know, it's super excited. And, you know, I love that we got to talk to you and hear your story and everything like that. We're coming to the top of time. I know me and Justin and Bethany are all on the same page as this, but we would love to have you back on the show if you'd be willing to come back on.
anytime.
Oh, you're great. So before we take off though, is there anything you want to say to the Dee Siren fanatics out there?
I don't know. Everyone says I'm a legend, which I feel like I need to make more money if I'm a legend.
I mean, you're definitely a legend.
Honestly, I just appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. My Instagram is the Love Siren because I truly believe that we are love. And if we just let go of everything else, like that's what we are. And that's what we strive to be, is this pure connection between each other. And, I can't wait to help more people through my life coaching. I actually just changed my name of it, but my website's mykarmasutra.com, which you probably have too.
Yep.
I want people to understand that there's more than just sex, even within their own relationships. And that's not what makes a great relationship, but that there's, but on the other hand, like accept who you are, love who you are, just follow your path and like you're the fucking director of your own story. Like it doesn't, and if you are a content creator, like you are the director of your own stories. So it doesn't matter if you fuck up because everybody does. And just go out there and do your thing and be who you are and take a chance with your life because you'll just be so much happier and I don't know, I feel like I aged backwards. I'm much happier these days and I physically feel better. In my opinion, I look better. And I just feel like it's like you get to a point where, life is just beautiful and you have to be grateful for the little shit and enjoy your life. So yeah, I appreciate them all. I love my strokers, which is what I call them. You don't have to be a stroker, but like I'm sure you are. Girl or boy, they're my silent strokers.
Oh, that's great. The siren strokers, that's fantastic. Justin, is there any questions you have for Dee before we take off?
This was fantastic. This was like a mini therapy session, which is great in the middle of the day. I have a lot of things I learned from this. I'm gonna love better. I'll have better relationships.
Yay!
Accept myself a little more. Everybody's a work in progress.
That's all what life's about, right?
Yeah, acceptance. Absolutely. So this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by Jalen Dub, Justin Richardson, DJ BJ Skins, Bethany Cherney, and our guest today is the legend herself, Dee Siren. In case you're wondering, you can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Work and Respect Us Podcast. You can also on Instagram at Work and Respect Us Podcast, and you can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workandrespect@gmail.com, and please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Thanks for listening. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See you. All right, Dee, thank you so much.
Awesome.
You are just the best. You know, this was so much fun. Honestly, like I love this too because of like you speak really well, you have great insights and intuition. So I mean, I think this does, like, you were a great representative of your industry as a whole, and this was just a fantastic. Yeah,
I enjoyed this very much, and I
Yeah.
learned a lot.
this was great. This was awesome. Yes.
Y'all be safe. Y'all have a good day, yo.
Thanks, Justin. All right, Dee, thank you so much. I'll be in contact with you. And, you know, oh, also, I wanted to send you some merchandise. Do I go through Tanya for that? Or do you have a PO box I can send you?
I don't have a PO box anymore, but I can just DM me on my Instagram.
Okay.
I can give you the info.
Okay, perfect. I have like it's a white quarter zip with our logo that I wanted to send you. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Dee. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Nice meeting you. Bye.
You too.
See ya.